Now, as I was saying, that structure or Western metaphysical structure always tries to somehow hide this base or this center or this arch or this telos. Now, when it hides or covers this, now next question would obviously come: why does he want to do that? Why does Western metaphysics try to do that? Now, Western metaphysics tries to hide this because it does not want us to understand that there is a stable center. Like what happens when we hear a baby is born, we always ask, is it a male or a female? And how do we decide that? Is there a penis or not between the legs? So the greatest and the first and the foremost division of human civilization as soon as a human baby is born is penis. Now, whenever anyone tries to talk about sex and gender, the society tries to hush or suppress or quieten, as if we are not allowed to talk about vagina and penis in public, as if civil people never talk about vagina and penis in public, as if professors are not allowed to talk about penis and vagina in public. But who decides it? What we are supposed to talk about and what we are not supposed to talk about? Who decides what we are supposed to discuss in class, in public, and what we are supposed to not discuss in class, public, and in society? Patriarchy decides it. Phallogocentrism decides it. Heteropatriarchy decides it. Heteronormativity decides it. And why does it decide it? Why does it decide it? To keep it hidden, to keep it clandestine, to keep it secret, to keep it concealed. Hush, hush, shh. Why? Because the game would be exposed. The game that we begin when a baby is born. Chele hoyeche na meye hoyeche. And how do we play this game? By asking the first question. Nobody asks, is the baby is okay? Is the mother is okay? Is the mother breathing all right? Is the baby's health all right? Nobody is interested in these medical questions about the health of the mother or the child. We are only interested in one bloody damn question. That is it male or female? Chele hoyeche na meye hoyeche? Chele na meye hoyeche? This is the only question that the whole globe is interested in. So that means the entire civilization is interested in the presence or absence of genitalia. That means our life begins with the absence and presence of genitalia. As if there is no gendered categorization, there is no human life. Once we fail to categorize male or female, as if we fail to categorize whether it is a human being or not. It's that scary. It's that disturbing. Now I would like my students to understand this, that it's very important. It's not very important, by the way. It's not very important, by the way. Excuse me. It's not very important, by the way. It's probably the most important thing. It's probably the most important thing to keep that fixed center hidden. If we do not keep the fixed center hidden, whole epistemological game of Western metaphysical structure would collapse, would crumble to dust. Now, this is why I want my students to understand the reason behind the secrecy of genitalia, the reason behind the of gender, and the reason behind the hush hush of that fixed stable center upon which the entire superstructure is built of epistemology, of patriarchy, of phallogocentrism, and entire power dynamics of that episteme, which is very much implicated in Western metaphysical thought. Something that Derrida tries to decenter, destabilize, and therefore deconstruct the construction of it. Now, this is exactly what Derrida calls, I think, the structurality of structure. Remember this? This is exactly what Jacques Derrida has called in his Structure, Sign and Play essay, the structurality of structure. Now, while offering almost a critique of transcendental signifier attached to metaphysical thinking, Derrida somehow concedes that we cannot attack metaphysics without the help of metaphysics. But Derrida is basically saying that we cannot attack metaphysics without the help of metaphysics. If we want to attack and decenter metaphysics, we have to take the help of metaphysical philosophy as well. Because now students might wonder, why, sir? Why, sir? It's because if we try to attack, now this is what Jacques Derrida is arguing. If we try to attack Western metaphysics with and through, or probably without the help of Western metaphysics, then what we are basically doing, we are basically fighting language with language. Basically, we are writing on a blackboard that I do not believe in writing. Basically, you are speaking in language that I hate speech. Basically, you are delivering a talk in online media that you do not like digital media, and you are making a conference on it. So, attacking metaphysics without the help of metaphysics is very much like fighting language with words. How do you fight language with signifiers? How do you do that? You tell me. You tell me, how do you fight language with words? You can't. You just can't. This is something that Ferdinand de Saussure didn't understand at all. Why am I saying this? Because according to Derrida, Saussure tried to attack Western metaphysics with structuralist linguistics. With structuralist linguistics. Now, while you try to do that, you try to, again Derrida saying, when you try to do that, okay, let's take it for example that Ferdinand de Saussure was terribly successful in doing that. To take it for example. But the problem is that when you try to do that, you always try to find something that Derrida calls transcendental signifier. Transcendental signifier. Now, what the hell is this transcendental signifier? What is this transcendental signifier? Now, transcendental signifier is a nostalgic, listen to me very carefully. All the students of honors, listen to me very, very, very carefully. While you are trying to find transcendental signifier, because that's basically what Saussure is doing in structuralism. He was looking for that signifier. So while you are trying to find out the transcendental signifier, you are suffering from a linguistic disaster. What is the disaster? The disaster is that you are still looking for a relationship between signifier and signified. Now, while you are still looking for a relationship between signifier and signified, you are not realizing one thing. Now, this is where I love Derrida. This is where I am such a huge fan of Jacques Derrida. You know, and this is what Derrida says, that while doing this, while searching for a signifier for a signified, fine. So basically, you are using a word to designate a thing. But the problem that you don't realize in structuralism is that even that thing is itself a signifier. Even the thing itself is a signifier. Suppose, okay, let me give you an example. That I am trying to develop a signification between PEN pen and this thing. I hope I'm visible to the students. So I write PEN, which is a signifier, and I try to find referentiality, that is structurally signification, with this thing that I am holding in my hand, in my finger, that is pen. Now, while using PEN to designate or denote or signify, to refer to this thing, so what am I saying? I am using pen to designate pen. But the pen is a signifier, and the thing being designated to, the thing being referred to, is the signifier. But even the signifier itself is another signifier. For example, we always say in Borno Purichoy, oye ojogor asche tere. We always say in Borno Purichoy, in our childhood, in all children, they learn that oye ojogor asche tere. I have a very simple question. আমার দাদুকেও তাড়া করেছিল অজগর. The snake chased my grandfather. Even আমার বাবাকেও তাড়া করেছিল অজগর. That same অজগর, that python, also chased my father. ওই অজগর আসছে তেরে আমিও পড়েছি, আমাকেও তাড়া করেছিল অজগর। কিন্তু প্রবলেমটা হলো অজগরটা এসে পৌঁছই না কেন? আমি জেনারেশন বাই জেনারেশন ধরে শুনে আসছি অয়ে অজগর আসছে তেরে, অয়ে অজগর আসছে তেরে, অয়ে অজগর আসছে তেরে। অজগরটা পৌঁছাতে পারছে না কেন কোনো জেনারেশনে? বিকজ অজগর বলে কোনো কিছু ছিলই না আদার দ্যান ওয়ার্ড। না, তোমরা বলবে স্যার আসলে তো একটা সাপ আছে, আসলে একটা সাপ, এগুলোও হলো ওয়ার্ড। স্যার ওটা না, একটা অরিজিনালি তো একটা সাপ বলে আছে যেটা তার চেয়ে, অরিজিনালি একটা সাপ যেটা আসলে তার চেয়ে। These are all words, these are all languages. So something that Saussure failed to understand and something that Derrida understood is that yes, signifier is a word. Saussure is saying signifier is a word, and Derrida is saying signifier is a word. But Saussure is saying that signified is something that the word refers to. And Derrida is saying that signified is also another word. Which refers to? Then if I ask you, can you tell me love? You'd say, sir, this is the feeling, this is a relationship between married couple, this is the relationship between boyfriend and girlfriend. So this is a human chemistry, everything, fine. But I would say this is a word, L-O-V-E, that's it. Love is a word of 4 alphabets. It's a 4 alphabetically constructed, 4-lettered word, and nothing else. And nothing else. So signifier is a word, and signified is also another word, which has another signified, which is another signifier. So there is nothing, according to Derrida, there is nothing called signified. All signifier does is refers to another chain of signifiers, and all those chain of signifiers does to keep referring to another signifiers, and all those signifiers does to keep referring to more and more signifiers. And the meaning is produced not because of the relationship between signifier and signified, but because of the difference between signifier and another signifier and another signifier and another signifier. Because language always spills over, so it keeps spilling onto more and more signifiers. There is nothing called signified. The greatest contribution that Saussure did to structuralism of Ferdinand de Saussure is that there is nothing called signified, and the relationship between signified and signifier is not a relationship between signifier and signified, but a relationship of difference between signifiers and signifiers and signifiers and zillions or uncountable signifiers. Now, I would come to the. I won't go into Claude Levi-Strauss because already in the previous lecture I had talked a lot about Claude Levi-Strauss and the theory of bricoleur and the theory of bricolage. But for the interest of the student's career, I will just touch upon it. I would not invest entire lecture on it because I had another lecture. You can go and check it in my YouTube channel. So the point that I am making here is this: that bricoleur is a primitive man and engineer is a modern man. Where do you get this? We get this in the essay called, I think, The Savage Man by Claude Levi-Strauss. And Derrida had referred to Claude Levi-Strauss's essay, two essays, I think, the Raw and the Cooked and The Savage Man. And this is where Derrida fell in love with Claude Levi-Strauss's theorization of bricoleur and bricolage. Now, what is this? That primitive man is a bricoleur, and modern man is a is engineer. Now, who is engineer? Engineer is someone who does not use whatever he or she has at hand. He or she uses only specialized tools to serve his job. And that's the specialized tool is a hint at, yes, the savage mind. Yes, correct. Thank you for the correction. Thank you for the correction. I think one of my students has corrected me. It's not savage man, it's savage mind. Thank you so much. And the thing that we have to understand that in bricoleur always uses whatever he has at hand. He does not wait for a specialized tool to come and use it. And that's why he follows a signifying system which is more motivated and less arbitrary. But in case of modern man, that is engineering, he uses only the specialized tools. That's why his signifying system, his structure is more arbitrary and less motivated. Now I would end this lecture with a reference of three concluding points on Jacques Derrida in general and on structure, sign and play in the Discourse of Human Science, this public talk in 1966 in particular. Listen to this carefully, because this is how I would try and sum up and wrap up Derrida. Now, those 3 points are: 1, theory of Supplément; number 2, the theory of Pharmakon; and number 3, Derrida's theory of interpretations of interpretation. I'll say this again. I promise that I will wrap up this concluding analysis, concluding theorization of Jacques Derrida on 3 points. The concluding point 1 is the theory of, or we can call it a bricolier of Supplément, bricolier, the theorization of Pharmakon, and the theory of interpretations of interpretation. Now let me handle one by one. Let's start with the theorization of Supplément. Now, Supplément is a French word. If I translate the French word into English language, it becomes supplement. It becomes sort of supplement, right? Now, what is Supplément, or in English, what is French word Supplément or English word supplement? According to Jacques Derrida in Structure, Sign and Play, because in this essay that I'm teaching now, Structure, Sign and Play, Derrida has used this word Supplément towards the end of this essay, or of this seminar in 1966 at Johns Hopkins University, Baltimore. Now, what is Supplément? Supplément basically means, I would request my students to take note of it, almost write down in your diary or in your notepad. Supplément, French word supplément, means essential extra. What do I say? What did I say? It means essential extra. What the hell is that? How can essential be extra, sir? And how can, sir, extra be essential in the first place? Right. This is the fun of the construction, that Supplément is essential extra. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Suppose I take Sunday Telegraph, and there is a news delivery boy that he delivers Sunday Telegraph. And one fine Sunday, I wake up and I open the paper and I find the paper, but I do not get the supplementary Sunday part of the newspaper. That is, I don't get the supplément. That is, in French, the paper is sans la supplément. The paper is without the supplement. Now, when we have that, I would complain the delivery boy, এই তুমি তো আমাকে রবিবারের সাপ্লিমেন্টারি পেজটা তো দাওনি, শুধু আমাকে মেন পেপারটা দিয়ে চলে গেলে, আমাকে দাওনি কেন, ওটা বাদ গেল কেন? So I would ask. If you don't realize one thing, is that newspaper delivery boy, the agent, has delivered the paper, but it has not delivered the supplement. But see, what kind of supplement? That supplement is a supplement that is absolutely necessary to make the main paper complete. And that's why it is called essential extra. Extra, but such extra is needed to make the whole complete in itself. That is Jacques Derrida's discourse on Supplément. Now, I would use now the second point to continue this lecture. What is the second point? I hope you haven't forgotten it. The second point is Pharmakon. Now, what is pharmaco? Pharmaco means in English, if I translate that into English language, it becomes Pharmakon. But if I translate it even more simpler versions, it becomes pharmacy. If I translate it even more further oversimplified English from French, it becomes medicine. If I translate it, or should I say, if I deconstruct it further, it becomes drug. So pharmakon is a pharmacy, is a medicine, is a drug. তোমরা নিশ্চয়ই দেখে থাকবে ওষুধের দোকানে গেলে দেখবে লেখা থাকে chemists and druggists বা অমুক ড্রাগ স্টোর বা তমুক ড্রাগ ফার্মেসি স্টোর. So drug means medicine, or medicine could be deconstructed as drug. Now, what is drug? Drug is a herbal poison. What is that? It's very similar to like necessary extra. This is like herbal poison. Now, what is herbal? Herbal means something that cures you, something that helps you recover from ailment, from disease. And what is herbal poison? What is poison? Poison means something that kills, something that murders, something that destroys, something that assassinates. So herbal poison means a kind of drug that both makes you alive and kills you dead. Right? I'll say this again. The herbal poison or the drug means both that keeps you alive and that kills you dead, and both simultaneously. Much like necessary extra, the extra that is extra, but that extra is needed to complete the main whole. It is such an extra that if we remove the extra, the complete becomes incomplete. That's why it was প্রয়োজনীয় অতিরিক্ত, আর ফার্মাকু হলো জীবনদায়ী বিষাক্ত. This is how deconstruction operates. Deconstruction operates in oppositionality. I will say and not say. I will write in writing that I am not writing. I will say in speech that I cannot talk. I will say that this is extra, but such an extra that makes the complete. I will say this is a bish, this is a drug, but such a drug that medically helps you in your recovery. And now I will conclude my talk on Derrida with this final part, the third concluding point, that is two interpretations of interpretation. Derrida has theorized in the end of structure, sign and play about interpretations, that there are two interpretations. The first interpretation is that you try to find a center and keep the center hidden and build a superstructure on that hidden center. Something like patriarchy, something like phallogocentric epistemology. This is one kind of analysis where you do the analysis on the assumption that there is a stable, fixed, unseen godlike center. And there is another interpretation that believes in decentering, destabilizing that unseen godlike center and take the text to aporia. And Derrida has preferred the latter. And once you do the second one, the deconstruction reaches to aporia. And once the deconstruction reaches to aporia, it becomes what Derrida has called il nia de hors-texte. That means in English, there is no outside text. The text includes everything. The text is inclusive. There is no exclusivity to the text. Thank you. I open it for Q&A if there is any. Looks like we do not have any question in Q&A, but I will wait for a few minutes if there are any questions in Q&A. But the lecture is over. Now I open the question answer session, Q&A session for the students. If there are any questions, you may ask me live. Okay, it looks like there are no questions. So I thank students for being present and see you soon with more deconstruction, more aporia, and more il nia pa de hors-texte. Thank you.